Hope Against Hope is the memoir of the persecution and death of Osip Mandelstam, who was arguably the greatest Russian poet during the Soviet era. It's also an amazing account of intellectual life, or the destruction of intellectual life, and really the terror and the bleakness of everyday existence during the worst years of ideological rule. Nadezhda Mandelstam is very good on the subject of language and words. And one of the things that she talks about a lot is the deformation of language under the Soviets and the kind of tribalization of human beings into these sort of howling mobs, right? So I would say, by the way, as a literary and a historical work, it's comparable really to only two books that I can think of that Soviet period. One would be the Gulag Archipelago by Solzhenitsyn, and the other would be Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman, which has been taught at Hertog as well. And it's one of my favorite books. I think it's an incredible novel. But let me go back to Osip, just to give a flavor of this poet. And I should say, by the way, we are going to read some of Osip Mandelstam's poems in the course as well. He kept a book in his pocket at all times. And the reason he kept this book in his pocket, and this was common, was so that when he was arrested, he would have something to read in prison. And the book that he kept in his pocket was Dante. And I think this is really significant. He actually learned Italian so he could read Dante. I want to read you the beginning of a poem called The Age that he wrote in 1923. And I think it sheds light on his love of Dante. The first lines are this: "My age, my beast, where is the man who can look into your eyes and join together with his blood the vertebrae of 2 centuries?" So the age is a beast with a broken back. And I think that, Osip is thinking of this age, this once upright and vital Russian literary age, that has been crippled by the sort of unbearable weight of the state. And he wants to heal that. Osip would walk around in his years of exile, for example, and this is described by someone who visited them and wrote about him. And he would just move his lips. He would just move his lips. And eventually sound would come out. And he would utter like 100 versions of a verse. And so he composed by ear, right? It's a sort of deep reflection on the artistic process. Another reason to read the book is it's a morally incandescent epic, I would say, of and a portrait of Osip Mandelstam, who was a poet who absolutely refused to have his tongue cut out. It's a really rich literary work, philosophical work, if you like, because there's just sort of a lot of anthropology in it. It's a kind of literary anthropology describing daily life, and it's a remarkable portrait of an artist. So for all those reasons, I think it's really worth reading.